So as Conservatives, we believe in the liberating effect of competitive markets, don't we? Yes? Someone want to tell me that I'm wrong? Yeah? Okay. Unless, of course, it's CCHQ, in which case we run a monopoly, we exclude competition, we suppress the kind of the new starts and fast growth enterprises that might compete with the power base. I think we should probably stop doing that. I think we should recognise that no individual or entity within the party has a monopoly on good ideas. We should be willing to be challenged, and where functions can be better delivered through our cloud of support, whether that be affiliate groups, CPF, whatever, we should have the courage, the moral, not the moral courage, the intellectual courage to say, our members are smart people, we trust our members, maybe we should also trust their judgment every now and then.
Thank you. Next question. So, right, we've got the lady here in this fourth row back, then we've got a gentleman just behind her, and there's two further back. We can get the mic to them as well. Right, so we start with you.
Hi, James. Hannah Gray from Beckham & Penge. Nice to see you. A straightforward question, and I'm sorry, I'm going to put you right on the spot. Illegal immigration versus legal immigration. We had some very clear answers yesterday, and I'd wonder if you could just give us your view on that, please.
Cool. Yeah. When you say very clear, if they were simple answers, they weren't answers. No, it really is as simple as that. If someone sits here in front of you and says, I will put a cap and that will work, and I will pass a law and that will work. We've tried that for 14 years and the British people don't believe us. Trying it one more heave at sounding tough and under-delivering will kill us as a party. I got to the Home Office with a very clear brief. Stop talking tough, start delivering. The Home Office is doing it back to front, and it was killing us. So I downgraded the rhetoric, and I deported more people. We had a higher rate, under my watch, in the 7 months I was there, our asylum rejection rate went up. Our deportation rate went up. Our net migration rate came down. I gobbed off less and delivered a bucket load more. That's what gets us back into office. And anyone who sits here in front of you or on a stage or whatever and says, the simple solution is to do this one thing, they either don't know what they're talking about or they hope you don't know what they're talking about.
Thank you, James.
Neither's good luck.
Pass the mic along, chaps, I think. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Kirsch, North West Essex, previously from Braintree.
Yeah.
Hello, James. Brief question. Do we need to talk about Nigel?
Great question.
Nigel would love us to talk about Nigel. There are lists of things that Nigel would want us to talk about. Nigel would love us to have a row about the ECHR. Nigel would love... So actually, go back to your report. And this is why I said it's really important we look at what is actually in our heads and hearts, not what people assume is in our heads and hearts. So I looked down that running order of key priorities, and immigration was not actually that high up the list. It is a really important issue. It is a really, really important issue. We do have to get a grip of it in a way that we have not got a grip of it properly up until this point. But people also recognise that there are other really, really, really important issues. And what we shouldn't do is we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We shouldn't ignore all the other issues and cluster around this ball. We have got to win back voters from reform. Otherwise, we won't win elections. And that really is a priority. We lost more voters to reform than anywhere else. So we have to win them back from reform. You don't win voters back from reform by being the marketing department of reform.
Yep.
So let's stop talking about them quite so much. Let's start talking about us and what we plan to do, how we plan to make the world better. That's how we'll get people back from reform.
Thank you, James. OK, we've got a gentleman down there. Thank you, Philip. And then the lady with the hand up just behind, Warren. Yep.
Hi James, Alex Clarkson, former parliamentary candidate in Stevenage, and thank you very much for coming to support me. You certainly energised my campaign just when we needed it, so thank you. Just reverting to that main issue that came up, which is defence. I think the 3% increase is on the ball, but we know that kind of nations win wars and not armies, and we can give more money to our armed forces, but You know, one policy that actually went into Stevenage, it was badly named National Service, but actually did cut through.
Yeah.
So how do we, with that dangerous times ahead, how do we engage broader society in defence? It's our top value, but we know that we've got young people that may not fight for Britain, they're not proud of Britain. How would you lead the public in not just kind of supporting us in defence, but making them realise it is not just our number one issue, but theirs too?
Yeah, so we have been living for quite an extended period of time now, I think, misunderstanding the scale of the dangers that are lined up against us. So I joined the British Army, and then the Berlin Wall came down. I'm not taking full credit. I'm just saying it's too much to just write off as coincidence. We then spent decades harvesting the peace dividend, and we've been harvesting that peace dividend for about 20 years too long, which is why our kit is not up to scratch, which is why our war stocks are not up to scratch. I'm a gunner, as many of you know. Our stockpiles of 155 artillery ammunition, large caliber artillery ammunition, is just nowhere near as big as it should be. So the reason I'm so committed to 3% of defence is because we have to backfill the spending that we haven't done properly over the last few decades under different governments. We have to get ourselves where we need to be in terms of new kit and equipment, and we need to demonstrate both internally and externally to our opponents and allies alike, we take our defence sector seriously. That then will pump prime our defence contractors, our defence companies, to actually start producing at scale. And once we take it seriously, actually, ironically enough, it will reduce the likelihood that we will need to ask British people to take up arms. The guy, and again, this is not all about me, but I am the one on the stage at the moment. People assume that because I grew up mixed race in Lewisham, I got into lots of fights. I didn't, because I was the biggest guy in the room. People pick fights with people they think they can beat. When they don't think they can beat you, they don't pick fights. So let's make sure no one ever wants to pick a fight with us.
Just to get back also... So, was there an element of wanting to recruit more people into the military there in your question as well?
Yeah, not just recruit, but
just briefly, was there?
Recruit the mindset of the public, though. So
Yeah.
Okay. I think you've covered that.
And actually, there's some hygiene factors here. So we're actually, we're not bad. We are actually not bad in having people want to join the armed forces. Our mechanism for processing recruits is appalling, and we lose a lot of people just because the admin around recruitment is so shockingly bad. And our retention's really bad because the military estate, the places where we ask these people to live, is absolutely unacceptable. So the ambition of the British people is there. The logistics, the administration around it is falling short.
Thank you very much, James. We've got two more questions in the row behind, and then we've got to come to one last one. It's flown by. I'm really sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, thank you. What's your position on children socially transitioning in school without parental knowledge or consent?
So childhood, adolescence and puberty is really confusing, hard and difficult, and that's if you get it right. Yeah? I clearly missed the memo when we collectively decided that children dictate to adults and adults don't teach children. Because that strikes me as a bit of a recipe for disaster. We know, and this is not a criticism, it's just a statement of biological fact. Human children are born with not fully developed brains. It's how we get an animal with a very large skull through the pelvic bone of a woman. But that's how other animals don't have this problem. Deer are born pretty much ready to rock and roll. And they are up on their feet within minutes. They are running within hours. Humans don't do that. So this was the biological trade-off that we made through evolution. We have big brains, but children are vulnerable and unfinished for quite some time. If we lock things in, particularly if we do things which are irreversible medically, because someone who is not yet fully formed is dictating to adults whose job it is in life and society and evolution to protect those as yet unfinished and precious creatures, we're screwed.
Thank
So
you,
let's stop
James.
doing that.
I don't want to interrupt you. 'Cause James, you put that so eloquently. I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm getting the wind-up signals from people. I'm really sorry about this. I think we have time for just one more question. The gentleman with the blue tie.
Hi, James. As a young Conservative, I see day to day young people who are interested in politics but would never vote for us. They're always Reform or Labour, and I very rarely come across a person who is willing to vote for us. And by the next election, all these people will be on the electoral register. What are we going to do to get more people to vote for us?
So, again, I think some of this is policy stuff. But as I say, before that, there's something we do need to get fundamentally right. I mean, we need to change quite fundamentally, and that's our kind of our tone, our collective corporate personality. I've said that one of the things that worries me is that we've drifted into the habit of being the grumpy party. Never been the nasty party. I don't believe that for a second. But we've slipped into being the grumpy party, dour, downbeat. And people of all ages, but particularly young people, want to feel part of something. They want to feel part of something positive, part of something optimistic. And whilst Reform, for example, and I said I don't want to be the marketing department for Reform, but I think in response to your issue, it's a really important point. They've created a buzz. It's a bit chintzy, but like the fireworks, the kind of banners, they've nicked it straight from the American convention scene, which is high energy, high ambition.
And do you think it's fair to say they're disruptors?
They are market disruptors. Yeah. They are market disruptors. And when you're an incumbent, when you're a market incumbent, as we are, there's two ways you respond to a disruptor. You either up your game and utilise your first mover advantage, or prepare to be made obsolete. I have no intention of letting the party that I love and has given me so much become obsolete any time soon. So we need to get more energetic, we need to get more upbeat, we need to get maybe a little bit more pizzazz, put the party back in Conservative Party, and that I think will win over young people. Ladies and gentlemen,
thank you so much. Thank you very much.